Zillow just shook up the real estate market with two major moves that are going to be impacting real estate photographers, agents, and even home buyers. The first issue is an integration with OpenAI's ChatGPT that's going to be changing how your photos are distributed and seen. And then the second issue is a complete reversal with what Zillow is going to be doing with Matterport going forward, and that could have an effect across multiple websites here shortly. So let's dive into this to see what's going on and then how this is going to be affecting real estate photographers, real estate agents, and the entire market as a whole. Up until now, when a real estate agent uploaded your photos and other info to their MLS, that data was syndicated to other sites like Zillow, Redfin, and Realtor.com. But now, all of that data, including your photos, is being sucked into ChatGPT since Zillow created an app inside ChatGPT in early October 2025, which I'll demo here in just a sec. Now, it's something other companies are doing as well. They're speculating that ChatGPT will become the de facto gateway to the internet, which raises its own set of ethical questions. But this new siphoning of MLS photos and data is questionable since ChatGPT isn't a data distribution channel. ChatGPT is an AI engine that digests its input to grow its entire system for purposes other than just the apps created in it. This took the National Association of Realtors by surprise, so for now they're just fence-sitting, stating that Zillow is going to do okay as long as they follow the rules. But those rules were written at a time when syndication to storage portals was allowed. But this new flow of data into the world's largest AI engine that uses input for its large language models is uncharted territory. So now let's take a look at how this works and what it means for real estate listings and photos. So if you were to go into ChatGPT and you just generically said, show me homes in Phoenix, Arizona for sale that have at least 3 bedrooms and are over 2,000 square feet, if you did a search for that, then ChatGPT is going to come back with a few different things. It might show you some pictures. Every time it's a little bit different, but you can see that there are various sites. The big one is Zillow, and there's some other things you can see here that it found. But there's a little bit more to this. Instead of doing that type of search, you started with Zillow, and then you put a space, you're going to get this, which wants to connect you to the Zillow app. Then, if you were to have the rest of that, show me homes in Phoenix, Arizona for sale, blah, 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 then when you do your search, it's going to want to connect you to the Zillow app. And you have to give your okay that you want to connect to that. So now Zillow inside of ChatGPT has given me something to start looking at. And if I click on this, then it's going to be bringing up more of an app type look. Now, it's not shown me a map yet, and they are still working on this. But if I take a look here at this see more homes for sale, once I click on that, then I've got the familiar map that I'm used to seeing on Zillow. But notice that it's actually within ChatGPT. You can see here I could open it in Zillow. So I don't necessarily know why somebody wouldn't just go to Zillow to begin with to do this, since it pretty much looks like Zillow. The only reason being is that you could have a further conversation to start narrowing down some of your search instead of using the actual filters that you would have on Zillow. But for the most part, this just looks like Zillow. The only problem is that this has tied into ChatGPT, so all of the information for all of the photos for every single one of the listings here and all of the information has now been shared and implemented and fed into the ChatGPT environment. For real estate photographers, this raises concern whether our photos will be used by ChatGPT to train its AI engine, making it easier to create correlations so that similar photos could be created by ChatGPT users, which could violate MLS rules and copyright laws. Now, this is yet to be seen, but things are moving at light speed, so it's something I'll stay on top of. The second issue is what Zillow is doing with Matterport. Starting in October 2025, Zillow decided to pull all Matterport 3D tours off of every listing on Zillow. And the reason being comes from what seems to be some confusion or at least some justification coming from both sides of the aisle. So we've got Zillow on one hand, and then we've got on the other hand Matterport, which is owned by Costar, which, as you might recall from an earlier video I did this year, which by the way I'll have a link to down down in the description of this video, that acquired Matterport. So Costar, who now owns Matterport, owns Homes.com, which competes against Zillow. So what Costar did at the end of September 2025 is change their terms of data use, and that relates mostly to their API. What that means is there's two types of data flow that you can do to access a Matterport listing. One is to embed it with a link so that you can just share a link and then that's embedded into a website. But the second way to get data is to actually go through the Matterport API and pull that data. Well, without the API there, then Zillow doesn't have access to some of the detailed information from the tour if they needed it. Did they use it? I don't know, and a lot of people don't. But it seems that a couple reasons Zillow said, screw it, I'm not messing with this anymore, is that one, it's just becoming more difficult to work with now what is a competitor compared to Zillow having their own solution for tours, which is their 3D home. So for now, Matterport is dead when it comes to Zillow. So what does that mean if you're doing Matterport tours? Well, they're not going to be quite as visible. Now, they were waning in popularity. We know that over the last few years that virtual tours haven't necessarily been as popular as other types of media when it comes to selling homes. But still, that's a huge major move because what's happening right now is between Costar Matterport and between Zillow, there's a big tiff going on. There's various lawsuits and a lot of stuff is still going to be coming out of this coming up. So all this is still developing right now. We'll have to see how some of this plays out. I'll be staying on top of it though, and as things progress, I will keep you posted.